You know, when I did my 20 plus minute video discussion on the Xbox One, um, I went and looked over and read over a lot of the things that were talked about, the specs and all that. But I want to talk about a few other things. One thing I did touch on, I believe, in that video was there was not going to be any backwards compatibility. And to a lot of people, this is kind of a disappointment. Now, unless the games on demand section for the new Xbox Live for the Xbox One is going to include 360 games to download like it does now, then, you know, not having backwards compatibility is a piece of crap, if you know what I mean. I mean, I'll be honest, I'm probably one of those people out there that's excited that this is, getting its successor launch later at the end of this year, most likely, or the holiday season. But what I cannot accept is the fact that it will not have backwards compatibility. Now, I know, like Angry Joe has said, and obviously he was not happy about it. And Alpha Omega Sins probably mentioned this, and I'm sure a lot of people have. We just have to wait um, until at least the E3, which is in the next few weeks. I thought it'd be a lot later than that, but it's in the next few weeks. We gotta wait until then to find out whether or not the games on demand section is going to allow us to download 360 games, even the newest ones that come out for the Xbox One. Because you got to think, Xbox has to realize fans and consumers like myself would expect some way of playing our Xbox 360 games. Now, hopefully they announce that, and if they don't, like I said, then obviously they're more focused right now on making this more about integrating television than a game console. I mean, it's still a game console at heart. There's no doubt about it. No doubt about that. But it's more like, yeah, it's still a game console, but you're taking away one of the things that makes a lot of fans want to buy a game console, and that's backwards compatibility. And, that's the one thing that obviously keeps Nintendo in the lead despite how people feel about the Wii U. The one thing that they can favor the Wii U over is the fact that the Wii U allows you to have backwards compatibility. And, that's why a lot of people would rather buy a Wii U, because it gives you that backwards compatibility. But again, unless, it's announced that 360 games as well as original Xbox games are going to be downloadable games on demand, then yeah, the backwards compatibility is probably the biggest flaw that they got going right now, or at least one of the biggest flaws. Because you see, the other big flaw that they have announced that a lot of people do not like is the fact that you could do used games on the console. You can. But unless you own the game, then you're going to have to pay a fee. Yeah. It's basically like, let's say this game here. Let's say in the next year or so we get WWE 2K15. In the next few years we get WWE 2K15. Or let's say down the line we get WWE 2K14 for the Xbox One, maybe a few months later. Here's what's going to piss off a lot of fans. Let's say you own the game. Basically, according to sources, according to the reports, you have to install the game into the Xbox One, thus allowing you to play the game with or without the disc in there. So in other words, right, So in other words, like right now I have my WWE 13 game in there. What they're saying is that by installing the game, aim onto the 500 megabyte hard drive and the 8 gigabyte of RAM, that essentially you don't need to keep the disc in there like you do with the 360. You can take it out and you can play it. Thus, in other words, what you're doing is something like what you would do with YouTube. You would be uploading your game, the entire game, onto the console. And God knows, God knows how big some of these games are gigabyte-wise. I mean, practically, if you think about it, this game here, WWE 13, took up a majority of what was left of my hard drive. My hard drive is a 250 gigabyte hard drive. And what was left of it, it took up most of it with about its 8 gigabytes. And Angry Joe brought this up. He said, basically what that's going to do, along with any other stuff that you may download, like videos, movies, whatever, music, games on demand, whatever, that 500 gigabyte hard drive is going to fill up fast, real fast. Now, he does have a point, so hopefully they improve on that in the near future. Now, again, getting back to what I was saying about the whole fee situation, apparently, according to some reports, or most reports I should say, once you install the game, not only will it allow you to play the game with or without the disc on the Xbox One, but it'll basically notify Microsoft and the Xbox division there that game you've installed onto the Xbox is tied to your account. That's right. Basically, it sounds like you cannot play the game without installing it onto the system first. Now, with that being said, where does the whole fee situation come in? Well, it's real simple. It's real simple. Basically, let's say you take your game over to your cousins or your friends and you play it over there. And let's say your friend wants to play it on their account. Guess what? You can put it in there, you can install it, but guess what? They can't play it unless they pay a fee. And from what reports are indicating, the fee would basically be the same amount you paid for the game being brand new. So in other words, let's say games nowadays, right now, cost about $50 at the most, cost around $60, basically for 360 games. Well, what would happen, for an example, you take a $60 game over to your friends or your cousins, and let them try to play it on their account, install it and play it on their account. They would essentially have to pay the same $60 amount that you paid. Basically, what Microsoft is saying is, hey, you want to play a used game on this console? No problem. But guess what? You're going to have to play it. You're going to have to pay a fee as if you're paying for the game brand new. That's right. Basically, you're going to have to... It's like, okay, you go to a GameStop. It's like, okay, GameStop is one of the leading stores out there, video game store companies out there. And one of the most profitable divisions is used games. And here's what's going to happen. Let's say somebody sold them WWE 13 used. They sold it to them. And let's say they put it out for half, if not maybe $20 less. 20, maybe about, let's say 20 to maybe 15, $20 to $25 less than its retail price. Okay, you go over there and you buy that game. You take it home to play on your Xbox One. But guess what? Guess what? Even though you paid half of the retail price, the only way you could play it on your system is to pay the retail price. And that is bullshit in the eyes of many. In fact, I think Angry Joe actually not just Angry Joe, but Alpha Mega Sin brought this up. Let's say you have an Xbox One at home, and a majority of your family has multiple, not just you, but the other majority members of your family have multiple accounts on that same Xbox One. And let's say they want to play that one game individually on each of their accounts. Basically, it would cost them the same amount. It would cost them, basically, according to several sources on these reports, it would basically cost them the retail, almost basically the same amount that you paid retail wise when you got it from the store or you got it online from places like Amazon and whatnot. That would basically be it. So by installing the game, which would allow you to play the game with or without the disc, onto the system, thus activating the code that comes with it, I'm guessing, well, I'm not guessing, but I'm pretty sure I've heard, you essentially nullify any chance for anybody else to play that game unless they have to buy the game, unless they agree to pay the fee, which apparently, according to one report, could be, and we're not sure about this yet, but could be the same amount, the same amount, almost close to retail price of when you bought it new. And I don't think anybody's going to like that. It's almost like Microsoft is saying, hey, you want to buy the game, you want to play the game that your cousin has or your best friend has, guess what? Go buy it. And you know what this is going to do? True, we've heard of the specifications and what the hardware is going to consist of and stuff like that, and to me that's okay. I will admit that's a bit of a positive in some ways, not mostly, but some. But here's what's going to drop Microsoft, and this is going to drop Microsoft down in sales. The fact that they're basically forcing people to go out and buy new games. Now, the only way that they could say, the only saving grace that I see with this is if they lower the price of their games. In other words, keep the games either at the $59.95 route, or maybe even drop them to $49.95. Because at least that would make up for the fact that people have to go out, borrow games or buy used games and have to pay the damn fee. And you know what this is going to do with places like GameStop? GameStop's not going to like it. They're going to be like, why the fuck, excuse my language, but why the fuck are we selling used Xbox One games when essentially we're going to have the consumer coming back and saying, oh yeah, by the way, I bought that game for such and such price, here's the receipt and all that, but guess what? I had to pay the fucking retail price as if it was brand new. What sense does that make? And obviously, I think Alpha Omega Sin or Angry Joe said it best, places like GameStop are not going to like that. They're not going to like it at all. They're not going to like the fact that what they sell for half price, essentially the consumer is basically going to be paying a fee possibly close, if not exactly the same retail price as if they were buying it new from a place like Amazon.com or Walmart. So, honestly, I think that's one of the biggest. I think that along with the non-backwards compatibility are the biggest negatives, the biggest flaws they got going. I mean, like I said, the only saving grace that I could see them doing at E3 in the next few weeks is announcing that all 360 games, and new, recently new, and you know, a few years old, if you will, along with original Xbox games, will be available on demand on the Games on Demand section on Xbox Live, as well as possibly announce that the prices of the games will go down so that it will equal out the fact that people have to pay a fee. And maybe, and if that's not the case, at least tell us that the fee that we would have to pay to play a used game on our Xbox One will be, affordable, will not be so expensive. Like, say, maybe $10 or $5 at the most, maybe 20 at the most. Basically, to me, between $10 and $5 at the most would be a more reasonable fee than paying for almost the entire retail price of the game. But my thoughts, honestly, are these are the two biggest flaws they need to hopefully improve on at E3 by either, like I said, announcing that new 360 games along with past 360 games and past original Xbox games are going to be available on the Games on Demand section, as well as that the fee price is either going to be between 10 to 20, or the price of games retail-wise is going to be cheaper than what a lot of people are expecting them to be, or at least they'll keep them at what the price range they got them now. So those are just my thoughts on it. And I'm a 360 fan. I mean, I'm an Xbox fan. I like my Xbox. There's no doubt about it. It's given me some problems at times. I'm not going to deny that. But hopefully, whatever happens here, I hope and pray that we get some positive news involving the hardware, the Xbox Live, and basically we find out more about what's going to happen with the system at E3. So let me know what you guys think, and comment below. Video responses are greatly appreciated. I'll talk to you later.